I muted myself. That's craziness. Hello, everyone. You are watching the Technology Magazine show. Apologies for that little gremlin at the beginning there. This show is brought to you by Technology Magazine, AI Magazine, and BizClik Media Group. My name is Scott Birch, and we bring you all the latest news, analysis, and opinions from the world of technology every 2 weeks. Joining me today is firstly technology editor Alex Tuck. Hello, Alex. Are you there?
Hi, Scott. Nice to be here. How are you?
I'm all right. After that little mishap, I was trying to do too many things at once, as we often do, trying to squeeze so much goodness into these shows. But yeah, apart from that, I'm all grand. Thanks, Alex. And next up, we're also joined by AI editor Catherine Gray. Catherine, are you well?
I'm good, thanks, Scott. It's good to be here.
It's always good to be here. It's good to be here on the Tech Show Live. And just to remind you to come and say hello as well by posting in the comments section, which you'll see underneath the show. And also you can go and vote in our LinkedIn poll. Talking of which, Alex, what's the question that we've asked this time?
Well, I thought with ask to fuel that fire and ask who is Europe's most innovative nation. And the four options are the UK, Sweden, Switzerland, or the Netherlands. So we're going to see. But we also might find out where our audience is watching from today as well by the answers we get.
Okay, so there you go. There's still time to vote in the poll. As you can see, it's running across the bottom of the screen there. Who is Europe's most innovative nation? Notice it says Europe's and not the EU's. So we have as our options the UK, Sweden, Switzerland, or the Netherlands. And of course, if you think that a different country is the most innovative, then just post something in the comments as well. Tell us what you think. So we'll find out what our viewers said later on towards the end of the show. And don't forget, we'll also be having the now legendary section, which is Tech That Takes You Back, where Catherine and Alex will be competing to see who's got the oldest or frankly weirdest technology that takes us back to yesteryear, the days of dial-up broadband modems and all of that jazz. But without further ado, let's have a rundown of the latest technology and AI news. Okay, Alex, so why don't you kick things off with the latest bit of tech news?
Well, the news story that I wanted to bring to our audience's attention today is from a recent industry roundtable from IT security specialists Entrust, and they explained how quantum computing is expected to disrupt encryption-based cryptographic defense by 2030. Easy for me to say. There's some useful information within the article to help explain a little bit about what quantum computing is and what the industry needs to do to adapt to accommodate it and take it on board.
Okay, I'm really glad that I didn't have to say encryption-based crypto, because that would have been a nightmare. But let's talk about quantum computing. I mean, do we really think it's going to replace traditional computing as we know it, Alex?
Well, according to Entrust, they're pretty adamant that it won't replace it. It'll augment classic computing, as they call it, with IT environments looking to maximize their resources. I guess it's just too big an operation globally to just go push all of traditional computing out and bring quantum computing in. So it's going to be more of a collaborative thing. Because obviously, IT teams are looking to, as I say, maximize resource, and it's not very sustainable to essentially throw the baby out with the bathwater, which is obviously a tech term.
Yeah, exactly. The number of times I write about that in our feature, I can't tell you. Now, I believe you've also got some good news for all of our technology fans watching today as well, Alex.
Yeah. So if they haven't seen already, our April issue is out now of Technology Magazine, cram-packed full of world-class insights from the likes of EY, Samsung, NTT Data, SAP, and our cover stars this month, who are Kroger Technology. So yeah, the magazine's looking fantastic. And on the front cover, we've actually got one of the little machines that Kroger use in their warehouse to zip around and somehow lift things up, pack things, and there's sucker cups involved and all kinds of things. It's quite an operation if you've never seen a robotic warehouse before. But these are the kind of things that Kroger have been up to. Actually pioneered in our very own United Kingdom with Ocado technology, who they work very closely with. When I spoke to Wesley Rhodes and Dan Whittaker at Kroger before handing the writing of the story over to our star profiler Jess Gibson, they basically talk about the world of retail in America and which has been massively affected by supply chains being hit so hard, and how Kroger had to very much turn to their technology solutions to cater for the surge in demand for home delivery. And as I mentioned, that they talk about the warehouses, which are now full of this robotic army that zips around at breakneck speed, picking and packing groceries at a rate that's unmatched by human hands. So yeah, I can imagine that kind of type of service rolling out across retail, certainly amongst the big players. There's also another feature, which is what is tiny machine learning? One of the 4 features that I've written this April. I particularly enjoyed this feature because it was talking about explaining a little bit about what tiny machine learning is and how it's used within edge computing. And just to give you a quick example, is actually related to grocery shopping. Within your local supermarket, rather than have all your self-service machines constantly sending data to the cloud and all of the data that they're generating, the train of thought here is that that's actually wildly inefficient, and there's a lot of data that can't be used, and it consumes lots of power as well. So essentially, with edge computing and with tiny machine learning at the center of it, it's going to be really around machines working sort of independently of the network, learning about what's useful, then communicating with each other as systems, and then only sending the useful data really to the centralized hub. So it's generally considered to be a smarter, more secure, and more energy efficient way of data operating within machines. So really interesting.
Okay, yeah, that is interesting. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I heard there was a story on the, I think it was last week actually, the BBC were carrying it, where it was looking into networks and how mushrooms communicate with each other. I don't know if you guys caught that. But I read a book about a year ago, and this is absolutely serious. I'm not making this up, Alex. I read a book about a year ago, and it was talking about how trees speak to each other. They have this network and it goes through the root system and everything else. But mushrooms have a similar thing, and I don't know how they conducted this research or who did it, so I apologize, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. But they worked out that mushrooms have a vocabulary of around 50 different words. And I just wondered, what would a mushroom talk about? If you had 50 words to use, what are you talking to your mushroom friends about? Anyway, slight digression there, but it was all related, I like to think, to the idea of this information and data moving around this energy efficient network. But Catherine, we do digress, or I do. Let's talk a little bit about AI now. I know you've got a new magazine in April as well, but what other highlights do you have for us?
So a couple of weeks ago now, I think, Tech Magazine released the top 100 women supplements. So I thought it would be good to maybe look at some of the women within that. They're a bit more AI focused. So Sheryl Sandberg, she was in the top 10. I think, I'm almost sure she was number 7 in the list, which is a great place to stand in 100 out of 100 women. So I kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about her and what she's done. So obviously she works for Meta, which is the new Facebook with the designing of the metaverse and all that stuff. She's been quite vocal about the metaverse, and it is really interesting. So people should go and have a read about that. But something that I really enjoyed learning about was she has on the side done a lot of her own work, written a lot of her own books, and one of them called Lean In is really good for women to read. So it focuses on business leadership development, issues with the lack of women in government and business, and feminism. So she kind of touches on all things. So I think she's a really good advocate for women in tech, and then more specifically AI. So thought that was all really, really interesting. Because obviously I felt when you think Meta, you think Mark Zuckerberg. So it's always nice to kind of see who else is there behind the scenes. But I'm keen to talk about the magazine because obviously AI only gets a magazine every other month. I think also, so shout out to Hex Penrose because we won the best cover again, and I think we got that in February as well. So there's a lovely image of beer bottles on the front, so no wonder that it got quite a few votes. But
Can we see this famed cover? Do we have that capability, Kieran? Carry on talking, I think, Catherine, while we're trying to sort that.
So one of the profiles that I did for that month was with Alderhay Children's Hospital. That's the great cover. I really love it. I think it looks really, really cool. And like you said, it's all about beer. So like I said, no wonder it got so many good votes. But moving on to the profile, so it was with slightly different to beer, it's about children. So Alderhay Children's Hospital, which is in Liverpool in the UK, have a really good innovation hub, which kind of uses all these different technologies to really change the way healthcare for children is delivered. So I lived in Liverpool for 4 years. So for me, this was a really good interview to have. They were both so passionate. So it was Claire Liddy and Ian Hennessy. They were both so passionate about kind of advancing healthcare for children. They've got things like RPA that they use, virtual reality. They've even got a little chatbot that kind of creates this digital play environment for children. So especially the children that have to isolate or don't get to see their parents as much, they have these little chatbots that really like that children can still play even if they don't have the capabilities to maybe go into the different playrooms and interact with other people. So it was just really lovely. It was something a little bit different to what I've written about before, and it was just really great to see how technology can really impact the lives of children.
Yeah, that's really interesting you say that as well, Catherine, because we do talk about AI a lot, and certainly when it comes to various ways it can be integrated into things like, you know, banking and processes and supply chain and everything else. But when you show the more human side of how technology can be implemented to make lives better, then it really has impact. Okay, remember you can catch all of the news and analysis on our websites, which are technologymagazine.com and aimagazine.com, and you can read the latest issues of the magazine on there as well. Plus, of course, you can read the Top 100 Women supplement that Catherine mentioned and which Alex worked on there as well. And all full of goodies, and you can see about all of events and all of the activity that we're doing, not just on technology and AI, but also on our other tech-related platforms. I'm specifically thinking here mobile, data center, cyber, and more to come. Maybe more on that later. So still to come after the break, we'll be speaking to TEDx speaker and tech pioneer Simon Robinson, joining us all the way from Brazil, I believe, fingers crossed. And of course, Alex and Catherine will be going head to head in tech that takes you back. Alex is winning 3-1. Has Catherine got what it takes to reduce the deficit? Go put the kettle on and we'll see you in 5 minutes and we'll find out.
We have a large partner network, especially the cloud providers. My name is Hans Beck, and I coordinate data science and AI at DXC in Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
My name is Carsten Hofmeister, and I'm leading the AD solution department at Luxoft. Luxoft is a full-service technology partner that provides end-to-end strategic advice as well as solution design and delivery excellence.
Within the automotive industry, currently a lot comes together. We have connected mobility, the challenge of agile software development at large scale, software-defined vehicles, and of course, autonomous driving.
I see that the automotive players are facing increased competition from disruptors. As a result, they're redesigning their organizations, they're shifting their strategies to digital first, and they're competing for software engineering talent. With the increased level of autonomy of vehicle functions, I see an essential need of virtual validation. We are working with all vendors. Of course, we have some partners with a close relationship and, for example, to exchange deeply on interfaces of services and tools, and, for example, to pre-integrate them into our demonstration landscape.
Our future plans are to continue the growth of well-skilled artificial intelligence and autonomous driving developers.
And we continue to hire the best talents, and of course, we are delivering the services to our customers.
Come to Kroger and get something you won't find anyplace else. My name is Wes Rhodes. I'm the Vice President of Technology Transformation and Research and Development for Kroger. Kroger Labs has got all the IT expertise that you would think a shop would have, but we also have all the hard sciences too. And one of the things we do is we combine them together. So we have the software, the IT, and the hardware, the devices, the IoT that work together. Partner ecosystem is some of the secret sauce for how Kroger Labs works.
Deloitte has worked across multiple parts of Kroger, and they bring those insights when we're working with them in the labs. They've helped us build a framework for innovation. We developed an innovation ecosystem specifically on a university campus. In this particular lab, there's 20 other companies that have created labs there too. So just by walking around the building, I can make a connection with an insurance company, a logistics company, a finance company, a banking company. These all represent the diversity of thought.
We're always restlessly looking to improve. If I can't improve them with things to buy, then we look to build. And that's an area that we'll keep on restlessly improving.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed those videos that we made for some of our partners there. Now, before the break, I did say that we're waiting to greet our special guest, which is Simon Robinson, but I think we're having some problems connecting with him right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip ahead, and I think we'll go all the way ahead, if everyone can follow where I'm going here. And I think we'll do tech that takes you back. So if everyone can jump to that relevant place, and Kieran, if you can do that for us, let's have a bit of tech that takes you back. Okay, here we go. Coming up sooner than expected. Now, this is usually the way that we end our show, with a little bit of fun and frolics, but we're going to stick it right here now while we see if we can connect with Simon and get him onto the show. So just to recap, tech that takes you back is where Alex and Catherine battle it out to show a piece of technology from yesteryear, and they try to impress me because I am the judge in such things, and I decide who the winner is with the best bit of tech. Now, regular viewers will know that Alex is winning this competition 3-1, but there's still a long way to go. This isn't even half time in this saga. So I'm going to say, Alex, you take it away first this week. What have you got?
Well, firstly, just to say that I can see that we do have our humble guest coming up very shortly after this segment. So good news. But my piece is regarding the old Samsung camcorder that used to capture many an embarrassing moment in my household. If you just look through this viewfinder right here, you should see the kind of thing that is captured, embarrassing dancing. I thought that was quite a nice touch of the person that made a video of this ancient piece of technology, which I think is around, came out around 1990, 1991. And I do remember it being quite a big deal at the time. But we still have some tapes. We have many tapes, and they are labeled with very suspicious things. And I'm not quite sure that whether I want to watch any of it. But it's it's a bit of a shame that this thing is still sort of it's gathering dust somewhere within my parents' house. But that's my submission, and I obviously replaced by smartphones now, of course, but there's something about having to load a tape in with a cassette and then push it shut, and then the little whirring as it kind of, there's something about that, and occasionally leaving the camera cap on the front of it and then wondering why it wasn't working. That was definitely a common feature in my household.
Yeah, okay, I like that a lot. I played with such cameras many a times in my formative years, so I'm quite liking that, and also the fact that the battery would last about 20 minutes, and you'd end up with some substandard, grainy, often yellow image, as you saw there, of a dancing. Yeah. It looked like it was a traditional wedding style video that had been captured there. But I would definitely keep those tapes, Alex, because one day you are going to have to watch those. You do realize that. You're going to have to watch them and find out what's on there. And who knows? Maybe it's a little Alex Tuck performing in some school play.
Yes, definitely.
I think so. That's what I'd like to think anyway. That's what I'd like to think is on those tapes. All right, Catherine, it's not bad from Alex. He's done better, to be fair, but it's solid. So what have you got? Can you beat that?
So I hope so. I mean, Alex did let slip that he took inspiration from my clip for his, so it comes as no surprise that we've got another camera, but this one is a Polaroid camera, the ones where you take the picture and it prints instantly, but obviously, like similar, the viewfinder is very different from the lens, so I think a lot of these came out with thumbprints on them, but I chose this because I used to play around with my parents when I was younger, and it looked a lot like this, but they've kind of come back into fashion now, so you can get these kind of pink plastic ones that are really cute, and every teenager seems to have one now, so I just think it's quite interesting that although we do have the smartphones that can get these really great pictures, people love being able to print them off and have them instantly with or without a sneaky thumbprint in the corner.
I mean, I'm loving that advert, let's face it. And also the flash cube, which was an extra that you had to plug into the side. And you're right, these have been making a comeback because people, do like that instant gratification, which is what Polaroid gave people in the days when you had to take photos and then send them off to be developed and then wait 2 weeks and then go pick them up from the pharmacy, just to realize that, as Alex said, you might have had the lens cap on all that time. And while it has been destroyed by the digital era and the smartphone, everything from videos to phones, video cameras to cameras have destroyed that. There's something retro and, I don't know, rewarding about having that physical product that prints out. So look, I'm going to give that to you, Catherine, anyway. Not just because I want to close the gap to free to make it more interesting, but I genuinely do feel that that was the most interesting. And Alex did have a little bit of sneaky cheat, as we realized. So free to, congratulations to Catherine. And I'm glad to say that hopefully, I think our guest is waiting backstage. So Alex, over to you. Why don't you introduce our guest and conduct the interview?
Brilliant. Yes. Well, joining us today is Simon Robinson. Simon Robinson is actually Technology Magazine's trailblazer for April. So you can see him within the magazine too. He's a customer experience design and innovation expert and author of Deep Tech and the Amplified organization. He co-founded BT's Genie Internet, one of the world's first mobile internet portals, and helped design some of the world's first smartphones, which I believe he'll be showing us today if he has it on his person. He's been published in the Harvard Business Review. He's a TEDx speaker, and he's CEO of digital transformation consultancy Holonomics, whose clients include some of the biggest brands in the world. So, yes, hello, Simon. Are you there?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Simon.
Hi, Simon.
Joining us.
Hi, guys. And thanks for the invitation to chat with you all today.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you for joining us. Where are you joining us from today, Simon?
Actually, I'm based in Sao Paulo in Brazil. And Sao Paulo, of course, is the great technology hub of South America. There's incredible activities and initiatives happening here.
Wow, amazing. Scott, can we have a trip over to Sao Paulo to find out if that's true or not?
Well, I think we could probably take Simon's word for it, but I see what you're angling for, Alex. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Right. Thank you. Simon, I hear you're a little bit of a tech pioneer, and that's putting it lightly. And that you've also presented at TEDx. What was that process like for you?
Well, I did a TEDx here in Brazil, and I was given the option of speaking in English, but I always like to think about the customer experience, the user experience, and I rather foolishly said, yeah, I'll do it in Portuguese. And this was when I was still maybe learning Portuguese. So if anyone's looking for a quick way to lose weight rapidly, I strongly recommend a TEDx in a foreign language, especially Portuguese. So that was one rather naive thing that I did. But it was interesting because I decided to script the talk. You know, doing it in Portuguese meant there wasn't really scope for improvisation. And I think one of the things that I really learned is I was really trying to explain to people in a short space of time a very complicated idea. And I was thinking, how do I explain the essence of what we're doing? And it was then that I found the name of the TEDx talk, which is Customer Experiences with Soul. How do you really help everyone in an organization connect with and engage with the very essence of that organization, what it's trying to achieve, the value it's delivering to its organizations? And that just transformed everything in terms of really in terms of opening our work up to a lot of organizations here. And then the other part, of course, is that at that time I was thinking we're doing more than just marketing. We're really talking about the essence and the strategy of organizations. And while the marketing mix of the 4 Ps is still very valid today, we're talking about digital transformation and organizational transformation. And that's when I coined the phrase the new 4 Ps of platforms, purpose, people, and planet. And that really opened the door to executives, you know, the C-suites, where we really managed to find a way of telling them what we're doing without really having to go into the essence, because our work with holonomics is very deep, it's very powerful, it's very philosophical, but you can't always explain the essence. And I just learned so much doing the TEDx. I can highly recommend it because it really teaches you how to engage with your audience if you are dealing with something innovative that's new that people may not be familiar with. It really helps you get to the essence and really helps you think about communication as well as innovation and design. It was a great lesson for me.
Brilliant. I think we're probably all fans of the TED brand. I mean, it's just just exploded with popularity in recent years. And that sounds amazing. Hopefully you'll do one in English as well in the future. So it's a little bit easy to access for the English speakers, English listening and reading speakers. So in your early days, I understand that you had a lot of involvement with the early smartphones. Can you just tell us a little bit about how you got involved in this and what that entailed?
Well, it was really interesting because nowadays the area of user experience design, customer experience design, it's very familiar. But back in the early 90s, there were probably only 3 commercial organizations doing UX design. And that was British Telecom. I was based at BT Laboratories, Xerox PARC, and also Nokia. User experience design, it was much more of an academic exercise in the early 90s. And a lot of my work was, I was a UX and CX evangelist. So I always used to try and connect our academic design work in the laboratories with marketing and the commercial teams. And because of that, in 1996, something happened that I still don't think other organizations have done. As a customer experience expert, I was invited to join BT Cellnet's business development team as the business development manager responsible for smartphones. And this was visionary from Tony Eales, the head of business development at the time, because before business development, it was people with commercial skills, negotiation skills, and not with a customer experience design background. But I was put in charge of connecting BT Cellnet and BT with handset manufacturers. So Nokia, Motorola, Ericsson, they were all developing smartphones, but they were developing their own unique client-server solutions. So an app on the Nokia smartphone would not work on the Ericsson one, would not work on the Motorola one. But another company, Nortel, they had just started to move into Java, and Java was still brand new. So one of my first projects was BT Cellnet was the lead client developing the first Java smartphone together with Nortel. And I have one of only 2 working prototypes in existence. It was great to see your item before on technology from the past. So this is the Nortel Orbiter. And as you can see, it's got a graphical user interface touchscreen. I haven't got it charged up. It's no longer working. As you can see, it did have a graphical user interface, much thicker than an iPhone today. And also the other interesting thing is the operating systems were not powerful enough in the 90s to have a camera or video. And it was just so interesting because it was my role to really think about user scenarios. In what scenario would this be used? And also how would 2G, Edge and 3G networks impact on the technology? And of course, there was no social networking at this time, no Instagram. And the key word, we weren't really talking about artificial intelligence, but we were talking a lot in the 90s, if you remember, about intelligent agents. So this was the key thing in terms of platform design and the server side. And it's really interesting having had a chance to take part in this project because it wasn't obvious at the time if people would use these. We were asking the question, would people pay a premium for this type of phone? It's ridiculous to ask that now, but it wasn't obvious to us. We were worried that we would launch a phone that people really wouldn't use. But in fact, what happened is really interesting. This technology was way ahead of its time. And Nortel, it was very much based on B2B solutions. And Nortel didn't think that they could make the move to offering a consumer product. And in fact, the technology wasn't quite ready. It took Apple many years to really turn this phone into something commercially viable because we started work on this in 1997. And of course, Apple launched in 2007. But in fact, some of the team from Nortel did move to Apple. So this is absolutely, with that kind of heritage and background, this is the phone that really begat the Apple iPhone. People think Steve Jobs is a genius, but he was building his work on the shoulders of other people that had spent some years really developing the user experience, graphical user interfaces, touch screens, and really thinking about the scenarios. So that's a little blast from the past. As I say, there's only 2 of these in existence that actually work now.
Absolutely incredible. That's a really amazing story. Just in regards to just a couple of quick questions for you. You just give us like the sort of the elevator pitch for the book, Deep Tech and the Amplified Organization.
Yeah, it's interesting because in addition to my work in technology, I was also at the same time, as I moved into my 30s, I was becoming much more ecologically aware, as well as developing technically. And I really wanted to find a way of combining all of this, commercial organizational expertise with my values. It's often the case when you really work at this level in commercial organizations, you sometimes struggle with values, maybe your values not being fully connected. And also over the last 2 or 3 years, there's been this focus on exponential growth in organizations. And it's clear to me, talking to a lot of executives, a lot of C-suite, that their interpretation of the concept of exponential growth is still one-dimensional. And unregulated exponential growth, there's a word for that, that's cancer. It doesn't work when you have to take into account, planetary limits and also impact on society. So I was really trying to move people away from just thinking about qualitative growth and thinking about how we can grow organizations qualitatively as well. And that's where I developed this concept of the amplified organization. So what does growth mean here? It's about elevation, it's about scaling, and it's about amplification. So when you bring all these types of growth together, then you have a positive impact on both people and the planet. So elevation, what does that mean? We talk about elevating the core value proposition of an organization. It's incredible that when you talk to people across organizations, they often cannot articulate how the organization offers value and delivers value to their customers, let alone thinking about how they can discover new sources of value. We talk about scaling, and our book was co-written with Igor Kotor, who's a great expert in platform architectures. And again, a lot of CEOs, they're changing their strategies. They're developing platform strategies without really knowing about what a platform is or what is a platform architecture. So we really we go inside of platforms and we explain what is a digital operating model, for example, because again, it's a way of really bringing together everyone in an organization and developing a new systemic understanding of an organization in this new era of the digital economy. And then, of course, we amplify through developing new forms of innovation and going deeper into innovation. And we really take into account the lived experience of people and the lived experience of everybody, every community that is impacted by the activities of an organization. So through elevation, scaling, and amplification, you get qualitative growth that is positive for the organization, positive for the shareholders, positive for society and the planet. And that's really what I was trying to achieve. And I love the way that in my interview with you, you brought out the key phrase of ours, that technology that is not based on the universal human values of peace, truth, love, righteousness, and non-violence is not deep. It's just technology. And so everything we do is built on this foundation of human values, including artificial intelligence. And we can talk about this a little bit in a minute if you find that interesting.
I do. I certainly do. I'm aware that our show we've got to tie up our show relatively soon. So we've probably just got time just for one quick final question, which is just in relation to your the consultancy work you do with Holonomics. You may not be able to tell us exactly who you're working with, but what are the types of companies that you're working with that are looking at these services to level up their game?
Well, it's really interesting. We work with some of the largest organizations in the world. In Brazil, you have some major conglomerations, which maybe are not household names, but in terms of the industry, they're very, very significant. And it's interesting, we're often brought into organizations to help them with projects in innovation, customer experience, and digital transformation. But who's bringing us in? People inside of human resources, because they're the people that contract consultancies. And we really love to really talk to people in HR, because as well as helping people with innovation and digital transformation, we're also helping HR professionals and HR teams. We're helping them to elevate themselves to a strategic position in the organizations, because the great problem is that nowadays people are still focusing on the technology and not the human dimension or the experiences that they're trying to deliver. And a huge challenge right now is engagement. It's ironic that we have all this technology for remote working, hybrid working inside of the metaverse, but technology itself isn't working. People are becoming disengaged. So our whole strategy is to develop this systemic understanding of an organization, its value proposition, its strategy, and bring together the human dimension with the technological dimension through human values, through our approach to deep tech. And that's what instigates genuine organizational transformation. That's where we're helping. So, companies are really understanding the need to develop platforms, understand how the role of AI, but without this other vision, without this human vision, it's just not working. They're too focused still on the pure technology and not on the implementation or engagement.
Simon, absolutely fantastic. Hopefully one day I'll get to join you on the beaches of Sao Paulo, and you can buy me a margarita and we can continue this conversation. But
absolutely, we have some incredible coastal areas here. It's incredible.
I bet. I'm green with envy, but happy for you too. Of course. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you.
That's all we've got time for. But best of luck with your consultancy, and I'd love to continue the conversation into the future. There's some really exciting projects that you're working on. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay, well, look, I think Simon has to get an honorary point for the tech that takes you back. I mean, there's the new bar, guys, you've got to go to. Not only do you have to, work on developing the world's first smartphone, but you have to have one in your hand that is only one of two in existence. I feel like that was almost a plug for an eBay listing, but clearly that is priceless and it will not be for sale. I'm sure we can get Simon back another time to talk about AI related topics as well. I know he was keen to divulge some nuggets of wisdom there. We'll have to keep those for another time. Now, remember, you can visit our websites for Technology and AI magazine. You can read the magazines there and watch all the videos. And you can also see Simon's Trailblazer piece even in Technology magazine. And that's what he was referring to there as well. So you can hear more from Simon in there. Now, we really need to move things along. So we're going to skip straight to the results of the poll. So, Alex, I think we have the results in now. Just remind us, what was the question, and then give us the result.
Well, we were looking to see who our viewers thought was the most innovative nation in Europe. And quite a surprise, I have to say. I've got the results in. So in last place, which I actually expected to be in first place, was Switzerland with 10% of the vote. Bringing up the rear is the Netherlands with 22%. Second place, the UK with 27%. That one stings. But the winner is Sweden with 41% of the vote. So well done to Sweden. You must be doing some incredible things over there, and I think we better start covering a little bit more Swedish companies. We do actually have, I believe our Trailblazer in June is from Sweden. So look out for that one. So technically, we're already ahead of the game with that without even realizing. So.
Okay, well, I'd be really interested. I mean, obviously, we've got the results of the poll there. I'd be really interested to see the comments and to find out why people think Sweden is the most innovative. So maybe we can do a follow-up on that. Maybe we can make a web story out of that and highlight some of the companies that are doing such great innovative work as well in Sweden.
I see a new top 10 next week.
There you go. See, it writes itself. It did. Okay, we really do need to jog along now, and that's one reason being that we've got our live show coming up in June, and it's the 12th of April, but June is not far away. So that's coming up once again at Tobacco Dock in London. But the show has a slightly new format. It's got a new name. It's a co-located show. Let's have a look at last year's show. Welcome to the inaugural Technology, AI and Cyberlife.
Are you excited? A lot of the very mundane work is going to get automated. A lot of people think that's a pipe dream. The world that armies fought in the past could be almost decomposed by a group of people.
Today, we're using data scientists before data scientists were called data scientists.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Salaya from the U.S. Space Force.
Now, as it says, to be continued, but really the show has been reinvented for 2022. And while last year's show was undoubtedly a success, this year's show is going to be much bigger and better. Now, there's so many speakers lined up for this across 4 different stages. As I said, it's 4 co-located shows, really. So we've got of our own brands. We've got technology, AI, we've got cyber, data centers, mobile. So much to talk about. We're going to bring you more information on this in the coming episodes of this show. But for now, that was a bit of a teaser. But if you go to our websites, you can find out more about Tech Live, because that is the new name of the show. So the umbrella for the show is Tech Live, and that's happening in June in London. And you can join us in person, or you can register for virtual tickets as well. So that's all we've got time for this episode. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Tune in again in 2 weeks' time when we'll give you more details on that event. Thank you for interacting with us and watching us live, taking part in the poll. And remember, this show is available to watch on demand too. So please do share it with colleagues and anyone interested in technology or the very original first smartphones. Thank you to Alex and Catherine. Congratulations to Catherine for winning Tech That Takes You Back. To Kieran and the rest of the video production team, for Catherine pulling the marketing strings invisibly in the background. This has been a BizClik Media Group production. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Alex. Thanks.